My name is Lily, and I want to tell you about my journey learning English. When I was young, I didn't know many English words. I lived in a small town in the US where most people spoke only one language. English always felt so big and far away, like a mountain I had to climb. I remember my first English lesson in school. My teacher, Mrs. Smith, smiled at me. She said, "You can do it, Lily." Just take one step at a time. Her words were kind, but I felt nervous. My hands shook, and I didn't want to speak. What if I made a mistake? I went home that day and sat by the window, watching the rain. "Why is learning English so hard?" I whispered. Tears came to my eyes. But then I remembered Mrs. Smith's words. One step at a time, I told myself. The next day, I tried again. I learned a new word, apple. I said it over and over again. At first, it felt strange in my mouth, but soon I began to smile. It felt good to know a new word. One day, I was walking with my friend Emily. She was really good at English. She said, "Lily, I'll help you." "Let's talk in English together," I nodded, feeling both excited and scared. At first, I made many mistakes, but Emily never laughed at me. She just smiled and corrected me softly. There were hard days too. Once, in class, I forgot a word. Everyone looked at me, and my cheeks turned red. I felt small, like I didn't belong. That night, I cried. I didn't want to try anymore. But something inside me whispered, "Don't give up, Lily." Slowly, I started to understand more. I watched movies with subtitles and listened to English songs. My favorite song was about a girl who wanted to find her way. I felt like that girl sometimes, lost but hopeful. One day, I had to give a speech in English. My heart raced. I thought, I can't do this. But then, I remembered all the small steps I had taken. I stood up in front of the class and started talking. My voice was shaky at first, but soon it became stronger. When I finished, my teacher clapped. Tears filled my eyes, but this time they were happy tears. English became more than just words for me. It was a way to express myself, to tell my story. I began to write short stories in English. At first, they were simple, but over time, they grew more detailed. I wrote about my dreams, my fears, and my hopes. One winter day, I met a girl named Sarah. She had just moved from another country and didn't speak much English. She reminded me of myself when I was younger. I decided to help her, just like Emily had helped me. We practiced together, and slowly Sarah's English improved. Seeing her grow gave me a deep sense of joy. Learning English wasn't just about the words. It taught me patience and the importance of trying again, even when it's hard. Each time I helped Sarah, I remembered my own struggles. There were moments when she would look at me with big, worried eyes, afraid to speak, just like I had been. I would tell her, "It's okay, Sarah. Take it one step at a time." She would smile shyly, and we would start again. Sometimes we laughed at funny mistakes, and sometimes she felt so frustrated that her eyes filled with tears. I held her hand and said, "I've been there too. You're doing great." One day, Sarah had to speak in front of the class, just like I had to all those years ago. I watched her closely as she took a deep breath. Her voice was soft, but she didn't stop. When she finished, the whole class clapped for her. Sarah's face lit up with a smile, and she looked over at me. I felt proud, not just of her but also of myself for being able to help her. As time passed, I realized that English wasn't just about learning a language. It was about connection. Through English, I had made new friends, shared stories, and learned more about myself. I no longer saw English as something scary. It became a part of my life, a bridge that helped me reach out to others. There was another moment I'll never forget. My mom didn't speak much English, and she often felt nervous when we went to the store or had to talk to someone new. One evening, she asked me for help. She needed to write an important email, but she was too afraid to try. I sat beside her, holding her hand, and we wrote the email together. When we finished, she hugged me tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Lily," she whispered. I think that's when I realized how powerful learning English really was. It wasn't just about the words on a page. It was about feeling confident and helping others feel the same. It was about making life a little bit easier, step by step. There were days when I still felt unsure. Sometimes I would read a long English book and not understand everything. I would feel small again, like that little girl who didn't know how to say apple, but I reminded myself that learning is a journey. There's always something new to learn, and that's okay. I started keeping a small notebook with me wherever I went. Every time I heard a new word, I wrote it down. At night, before I went to bed, I would look over the words and practice saying them. Sometimes I made up little stories with the new words, just for fun. It made learning feel less like work and more like a game. When I look back now, I see how far I've come. I remember the tears, the frustration, and the moments when I wanted to give up. But I also remember the joy, the laughter, and the sense of pride when I finally understood something I didn't before. One day, I met a teacher named Mr. Thompson. He had traveled the world and learned many languages. He told me something I will never forget. Learning a new language is like planting a garden, he said. At first, you don't see much. just a few seeds in the ground. But with time and care, those seeds grow into something beautiful. That thought stayed with me. Every new word I learned, every sentence I spoke, was like a small seed. Some days it felt like I wasn't growing fast enough. But slowly, I saw the changes. I became more confident. I started thinking in English, not just translating from my first language. One evening, I sat on my porch with my notebook. The sun was setting, and everything felt calm. I thought about all the people who had helped me on my journey: Mrs. Smith, Emily, Sarah, my mom, and even Mr. Thompson. I realized that learning is never done alone. It's something we do together, with the help of kind words, patience, and love. And so, I keep learning. Every day is a chance to grow, to make mistakes, and to try again. English has opened so many doors for me. It has helped me connect with people from all over the world, express my feelings, and even help others on their own journeys. But my story doesn't end here. I'm still learning, still growing, and still helping others. I believe that learning never truly stops. And that's the most beautiful part.